inspiration, motivation, or hope? Do you let fear hold you back? Sometimes you feel lost or just stuck in your own thoughts, and you want a clear path to give you results. Then, my friend, you are in the right place. My name is Rachel Best, and I am your host of How to Make a Mark in the World, Finding Your Signature. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take notes. Good morning, my friends. How are you doing? Today, we have a special guest. I got the opportunity to meet Rob through we're part of a community together, and I got to meet him, a couple of months ago, maybe even 3 months ago or so. Yeah. We've connected on the phone. We keep seeing each other's in the same circles, running in the same circles of people. And we decided we're going to be on each other's podcast. So today we have Mr. Rob Z. So Rob, go ahead and tell us, how are you making a mark in the world?
Oh, thank you. First of all, Rachel, thank you so much for having me on the platform. It's awesome to be here. An honor to be here. Great to meet you and to connect with you. And yeah, how am I making a mark in the world? You know, I think in everybody's life, the most important thing for us to try to reach is breakthrough, right? So I help people reach breakthroughs in their lives and in their business, right? So I have a company called LIT Coaching. The LIT stands for Lead, Impact, and Transform. And my goal is to help people, to help businesses grow bigger, better, and faster through a system that I've created that's worked for me. And it's called the Vital System. And I help businesses, I help people go through that system to create breakthrough in their lives. Because I feel like for myself, I don't feel like I know for myself for sure, I've been stuck at multiple areas in my life. And the only way to break through that stuck period, that glass ceiling, the plateau that you've reached, is to find breakthrough, right? So my major purpose, like why I do what I do, is to know and understand how to use breakthrough strategies that provide myself and provide others the climate and the environment to experience those breakthroughs in their lives and in their businesses. Because, you know, God gave us unlimited potential. We were created in his image with unlimited potential. Amen. Right? So to find higher levels of that potential, we must find those levels of breakthrough. So for me, that's everything for me. I find that is the most powerful thing in my life. Is I'm constantly going to be getting stuck at different places, right? So how long do I stay stuck? How long do I sit at that plateau? My fiance just recently said it to me like this. She said, it was really good and really profound. She said, Rob, you know, some people are dream builders and some people are wall builders. And in the situation we were talking about, she said, right now you've built a wall and you're just sitting there staring at the wall.
Wow.
I know. You're so right. And like, there's just
right.
Walk around that wall or climb over that wall or break through that wall. Right. So I really loved that comment because it made me think, like, yeah, we're either building dreams or we're building walls that block us from our dreams. So as far as me making an impact, that's what I love to do.
Wow, that's super powerful. You should have like that made or something. You're either building dreams or building walls, and I'm sure that was maybe a little bit of a gut punch and like a little slap in the face for you. Like,
yeah, she meant it in a very loving way. She said it in a very sweet way. I don't even think she knew how powerful what she said was. I don't think she knew how powerful it was. Right. But for me, it was like, oh yeah, I'm sitting here staring at this wall and yelling at it. That's what she said. You're yelling at the wall.
Wow. Yeah. How many of us get stuck doing that, right? So, and yeah, we're the cause that we built the wall, right?
Yeah,
so,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us how, like, what got you to this point? How long have you been in business, first of all?
As far as coaching goes, 2 years. So I've been doing leadership executive coaching for 2 years now. But as far as business, I had a digital marketing company for 6 years before this. And then I was in radio broadcasting for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was a couple of different careers, but I went off on my own back in 2017. I broke away from the company that I was working for and started my own thing. So I've been on my own for about 6.5 years. Wow. And 2 of those years have been in coaching because I found I had so much personal growth and development and breakthrough whenever I left my radio job and started my own company. I was like, holy cow, I love this so much. I love growing and evolving and changing and finding new ways to grow, because you discover so much about yourself when you start your own business. I'm sure you know this for yourself. That I had met a woman, Peggy Caruso, who is about an hour and a half from me in Du Bois, Pennsylvania, who had been a coach for many years. And I was doing a podcast. I did a podcast with her, and she said, I feel like you'd be a great coach. This was in the summer of 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic. She said, I feel like you would be an amazing coach. If you ever want to do this, I would love to coach you and train you to become a coach yourself. So that was kind of my launching point for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So like, share with us some of the things like, what got you to like this exact point? Like, I know you said like it's been 6 years, she reached out to you, but like, what was the pivotal point? What was the thing or the things even that really just launched you into, like, this is what I want to do. And I love the name of your coaching, LIT Coaching, Lead, Impact, Transform. Like that's genius. So tell us a little bit about that, like some of the obstacles, some of the things that got you into this moment.
Yeah, for me, going back to this whole stuck idea is what it was. I felt very stuck with myself where I was at. That's why I have a podcast called The Unstuck Movement, because I love to help. I love the idea of getting unstuck because it helps you so much. It's like everything we need in our life is to get unstuck. So for me, it was that I was going through a long separation and divorce, and I was in a career, digital marketing, that I was good at, it was serving me. It was paying the bills and it was growing, but I did not like it. I was very dissatisfied and unhappy. And I thought to myself, like, it's interesting. I went from a career that I loved in radio broadcasting, right? That it was a really fun job. I was doing a morning show. I've been doing a morning show for 5 years. I was a program director, music director. So I loved it, but I was stuck as far as like how much I could make, my earning potential. And I was also stuck in like, I did not feel I was reaching my full potential. And I felt like I was being stifled. Just to give you a small example, in that company, which I have nothing bad to say, because I really had a great time in that company and I did great things and I had a great fan base and I knew I was helping people and doing something I loved that I was called to do. But they kind of pigeonholed me into a place where I could not go any further, right? I could not advance any further in where I was at. And I didn't want to travel all over the country doing the radio DJ thing, bouncing from station to station. I have my whole family where I live in Pennsylvania, and I, was married here, and I'm about to be married again and have a son here. So I didn't want to travel. And I knew that I was meant to do more. So I learned digital marketing because I already had a Facebook following that was significant. So I was like, I'm going to learn how to do digital marketing for companies, right? So I learned that process and I fell into like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I can do this and I can have this thing support me on its own. But then I realized what I didn't expect to happen was the personal development and growth that came along with starting my own company, right? So like all of these things kept coming up that kept keeping me stuck. As far as like relationship with money, your mindset, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And I found that I had this fixed mindset that I continually am breaking myself out of, right? So my whole circle changed as I left the company, or after I left radio and built my own company, my circle of people changed. When I became an entrepreneur, just the people that naturally gravitated toward me changed to like entrepreneurs and people who had a growth mindset and who were constantly trying to better themselves. I also really started my own personal relationship with God, my own personal relationship with Jesus during that period of time. So in the summer of 2017, that really started to happen. And those couple of things they helped me to like reform and reshape the way that I looked at my life, the way that I looked at my relationships, the way that I looked at time. And having a son was another piece of that puzzle. It was like, I don't want my son to grow up and see this version of me. I want him to see a better version of me. I want him to see his dad evolving over time and that we're supposed to change. Because I used to think that I wasn't able to change. I used to think like, this is who I am. This is how I think. This is how I act. This is how I am. And people just have to deal with me, right? This is just me. I don't know how to change. So don't expect me to be anybody different. And I honestly thought that I couldn't change. So as I learned that that was not the truth, as I learned we have to evolve and grow and transform, God calls for us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So continually renewing our mind to become a better version of ourselves. That was a huge piece of that puzzle for me. And I had addiction issues in a few different forms, and limiting beliefs and a few different forms. So those breakthroughs just kept happening and are continuing to happen. I'm definitely not, we never reached the pinnacle of where we want to be, I don't think, because that's just kind of the evolution of our life. But throughout the years, that was this process. This process was me finding out who it was that I was called to be and who I'm supposed to be, finding those higher versions of myself. And as I continued to do that, I just kept having these breakthroughs. I just kept having these things happen to me. And when I started into the coaching business, then I really hit a place of, oh no, if I'm going to be a coach and I'm certified in coaching, if I'm going to be this coach that I want to be for other people, then I need to be continually working on myself and breaking through these glass ceilings that I think are unpassable for me, right? That I think are unattainable for me to get through, because I think oftentimes, unless you have a coach and you have a mentor and you have a therapist, whatever you have in your life who's helping you, it's very hard for you to see where you're being blocked, right? It's hard for you to see the potential that others see in you. And I really love that. I actually was at an event. Do you know who Spencer Jones is? He's in a few of our groups.
No, I don't know.
I was at a Spencer Jones event. So shout out to Spencer, because this exercise really helped me a lot too. So we were at a table, and at the table you had a piece of paper with your name on it. And every minute you would switch to a different seat, and you'd have to write all of the good things that you saw in another person at that event, right? So you wrote down the good things that you saw in them. And when you came back around to your seat, you got your piece of paper of all the good things people saw in you. And it's hanging up actually in my room. What was surprising to me was there's things that people saw in me that I didn't see in myself. Mm-hmm. And so that was like another kind of like light bulb of like, oh, wow, to break through, I really have to see myself how others see me, because we can live in those limiting beliefs. And if we step outside of ourselves and ask other people, they're going to show us our faults, right? If they're good friends, if they're people that are honestly there to help you, they're going to show you what's wrong that you are doing wrong, but they're also going to show you what you're doing right that you might not see. And I found that to be such a breakthrough moment for me, because it was like, oh, wow, there's so much more to me than I realize. And I have to, I guess, see these things for myself and let like God show me like who I really am, not me be limited by who I think that I am, and who I've been, if you want to say, programmed to be over my life. Right. So I forget what the original question was that you asked me, but that's where I am now.
Great. This has been great, and as you touched on so many different things that I wrote down, like it's good that we do ask people, because we don't see our, when people say things like, oh, I see this, and you're like, oh, like really, and so it's good to have people, and also, like you said, the faults too, like, because we need to have the reality check of, okay, this is, you could be doing better in this, or this is, whatever. And so it's nice. That's an awesome exercise to just let people just pour into you even. And just so, like you said, like when you can start walking and stepping into that person that you're created to be, that God has created you to be. And, we're onions. We are onions. We are
stinky,
never.
What you're saying? You smell really bad. We make people cry. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We're always being peeled. Like there's so many layers of an onion. I guess we could stay and make people cry, but we just like, we're always peeling that onion, like getting to another layer, to another layer, to another layer. Yeah. And and sometimes, like, when you're, what's the saying, if you're in the picture, you can't see the frame. So again, when people are looking at you and telling you, hey, this is, good, bad, work on, whatever it is, and I love that, And in my walk of personal development and Jesus, like I feel like they're just married together. And so, like all personal development, you can go in the Bible and find it in the Bible, right? And
Right.
so they just marry so well together of renewing your mind and working on your mind and just so many things in the scripture that really back up personal development. And
Yeah,
so
and I think for me, what kind of set me back a little bit over the years, I'm a very curious person, so I was into lots of different new age sorts of things, and I'm not even like if anybody's into anything else, it's a journey for me. It's been a personal journey of like I was just searching for the truth, continually searching for the truth, and so I was really into like Buddhism and meditation and a bunch of different things, and as I was learning more about Christianity and learning more about Jesus, it's like, oh, I finally found the truth. But all of these other competing ideas in my head, it's like they didn't serve each other. They were competing for my attention and my focus. And so the more that I clear out the cobwebs of all of the past things that I've learned, I can tell the more clear I understand who I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to walk through this life. And a lot of those other things are good. They do have very good teachings in them, but to me, they were really competing with the teachings of the Bible just to go to one source of material. And that's where I've been focusing my attention for the past couple of years, is one source of material, which is scripture, which, like you said, like all personal development is in the Bible. It's all there. It already has all existed. So to try to search for it in a bunch of different places, for me, scattered my brain in different directions and caused me to lose focus, right? So I was diverting my attention in a bunch of different areas to find the truth and develop personally. And the more that I singularly focus on scripture and how it can help me to grow, the more I advance. I can tell that I grow a lot quicker by just having that one source of focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, we just need the one book, really, right? Like people always say, like, I wish these kids came with instruction manuals. I'm like, well, they did, the Bible, right? Like life came with an instruction manual. It's called the Bible. So we just have to open it and read it and dig into
and
it. And it
and
is our
learn to
source.
understand it, because it can be really hard to understand. And I love a good mystery, right? So the Bible's an amazing mystery. I mean, there's truth has been revealed from it, right? But there's so much to learn from it. And when you have great people in your life, witnessing to you, and good stewards who are helping you to really learn it and understand it, for me, that was extremely helpful. Me sitting down and just trying to read the Bible, because I used to try to do that, and I'd be like, what am I even reading? And then my one good friend said, you don't read the Bible reads you. And so until you really start to walk this walk with intention, then it starts to reveal itself to you. But before you do that, at least some people I think can open it and they get something out of it without really understanding the story of it or anything like that. But for me, I've had to understand the story, and the more I understand the story, the more it pours out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a living word, right? So
Yeah.
it meets us where we're at. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite book in the world. So but I really want you to just share with us, like share with somebody that is listening in, that maybe they're working on a business, or maybe they're thinking about leaving their job, or they're thinking about going into entrepreneurism. Like what advice what's some best advice that either you've been given or that you would give somebody that is really wanting to do something different, but they're just kind of stuck at where they're at and they're not sure what to do?
Pray about it. Number one, I would recommend praying about it, but visualizing it, I think, is huge, right? So whenever I'm working with people, I use this thing called the VITALS system, and the VITALS is an acronym for vision, impact, technology, action, leadership, and service, right? So I would recommend visualizing into the future, like where do I really want to go? Like, of course, I want to make money. I need a successful business. right? I need to have a business that makes me money so I can support my family or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. But that's just like the beginning layer. It's really interesting when you start your own business, the direct line that you think you're going to go in. I never thought I'd be a coach. 6 years ago when I left radio, the coaching was never even a thought in my head. And now it's like the only thought in my head, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So having a vision of where you want to go, but being very open to the adventure that life's going to take you on. Because I love the thought that life is an adventure, right? So being open, having a vision, picturing like, here's where I'd like to end up. What does that feel like? What does it look like? What does it smell like, taste like with your senses, right? So if I got to the place where I really wanted to get to, what would that really tangibly be like? But then being open-minded to it's going to take me in a bunch of different directions and letting myself open to that happening. That's a very, that's a really loose explanation of how to do it because there's so much to that. But another piece of that would be like, how am I going to be of service to other people? Because if you want to have a successful business, it has to all be about serving, right? So not what you're going to get out of it. How am I going to help other people? That might be the biggest piece of the puzzle. Because if you're going to business for you, good luck having it be successful. You're going to be fighting against a constant current at all times. But if you think, okay, I want to help people. Who can I help? How can I help them? And then go towards that direction. That's going to help you figure that out a lot better. And one more piece to that would be what has really worked well for me is making my mess my message. So what is the thing in your life that has been difficult that you've made it through? And that could be in any facet of your life. But this thing was difficult for me. I made it through this. Now I can use this to help other people get through it. And that could be through a service. That could be through a product. But when I was trying to find my avatar of like who it is that I'm focusing on, who am I speaking to? I had so much trouble with it because it was so difficult. Like, who do I want to speak to? I don't know. Is it male, female, what age? I have no idea. I couldn't figure it out. It was driving me insane. Then it came down to, I know how to help me. I've helped me. So why don't I just help people who were me 5, 6, 7 years ago? And where was I and how could I help them? And for me, that's a great starting point. So set your vision on that. Like, okay, I've gotten through this thing. So how could I help people get through this thing and serve them and have that be a part of the vision that I'm going towards? I hope that made sense.
Yes, that's so good. I took a few notes and I'm going to re-listen to this again because, like you just said, I struggled with that too, with like, who's your avatar? Who's your avatar? And I'm like, trying to figure this out, and then I was like, I was on the training and somebody said, your avatar is you 2 years ago. 3 years ago. And I just like this light bulb just went off in my head. I'm like, duh, like you just said, like we know how to help who we used to be, right? Yeah. And so after I had that light bulb moment of like, duh, that's who I'm supposed to be helping, then like the puzzles started to go together. And instead of like this, like trying to put a square in a circle, like then things started to like click and start having momentum. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so difficult. And go ahead.
Well, I can talk to myself all day long because we talk to ourselves all day long. So if I'm trying to think of messaging, it's like, well, I can speak to me. I'm doing it. That's what I do. That's what you do. We all do.
Yep.
The messaging is kind of like there in your head already, right? Like getting yourself to that place you need to get to, finding those breakthroughs you needed to get to, and you found them. I mean, if you haven't found them yet, then that's the journey you want to go on to create that business. And this might not be applicable for everybody. I don't know. Some people will probably start businesses that are successful from things that they have no reference for. And I'm sure that happens. I can't imagine the person who created the shower ring, like made their message for shower. I don't know how that happened for them, right? but I think it's a general rule of thumb that would be helpful.
Yes, very good, very good. That's so good. This has been so good. You gave us a lot of very good pieces and just shared with us a little bit about the things that you've been through to help you get to where you're at, and just how you created your business, and the message, and also getting into action and messy action. And I've heard this several times over the last, I don't know, probably month or so, of just get into action, because messy action will show you the direction that you're supposed to go. And even if you have to go back and clean up some of that mess, that's okay, because in action, if you're not doing anything a month from now, you still got nothing to work with. Right. But if you're doing something and a month from now, you're like, oh, like I need to redo that a little bit, or I need to clean that up a little bit. At least you're learning, you're growing, you're navigating through, and it shows you that path. It gives you the path of, where you're supposed to go. So just getting into action. I love that. So
yeah, and if I could say one thing to that also, it's because I think nobody's perfect. I still deal with this all the time. It's like whenever I'm delaying doing something out of like, it's not perfect yet, or I'm not ready yet, it's just fear, right? So that's just fear getting in the way of me taking action, and I deal with it every day. So it's not, I don't know if it's something you ever finally break through with, or I'm sure you do finally break through with it, but it's just like different levels of it. Like when I know when it's time to do something, I need to just do it instead of waiting a week and then a month and then 6 months, because that's what happens. People, they wait a week and then it turns into a decade. And then then things become so big in your head, you never could start on it because there's so much procrastination and fear attached to it. Right. So I think that's the big breakthrough, and Jose, we both know Jose Escobar. He always says success loves speed. So, and I've taken that to heart, and I'm still applying it in different areas. Like when I know it's time to take action, just do it. It's going to break a little bit, but you're going to fix it because it needs to break so you can fix it, because you got to tweak it, right? So you got to experiment with how to make the thing work, and you're never going to figure out how to make it work if you don't do something. Right.
That's good. That's really good. I hope y'all wrote that down or go back and re-listen to that. So, but, tell us, because we're coming up to the half an hour, and tell us, if people want to get a hold of you or follow you, how do they find you? How do they follow you? How do they get a hold of you?
Sure. You can just text me. My phone number is 814-312-7273. I just put it out there because it's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Just send me a text message. Or you can email me, leadimpacttransform@gmail.com. Check out the podcast, The Unstuck Movement. It's on all podcast apps and on Facebook, Rob Z. Wentz. I always say keep it more simple. I didn't keep that simple at all. I gave way too many ways for you to get a hold of me. So I'm going to go just to Facebook. Everybody has Facebook. Rob Z. Wentz on Facebook. Send me a friend request. We can connect there. That'd be the perfect way to start.
Yes. And tell us, what are you working on now for, oh my gosh, can you believe it's the 16th of October already? We only have a couple months left of the year. What are you working on? What's next? What's some things that you can throw out there to get people excited and engaged?
Sure. That's funny. That's what my mom always says every October. I can't believe it's almost Christmas already. Can you guys believe it? We're like, yeah, Mom, you said it last
You said it a year ago.
Yeah. The big thing right now, I'm launching. So I'm taking the podcast to the next level. This is what I love podcasting, obviously broadcasting. I spent 20 years in radio broadcasting. So I love doing this. And it's like where my sweet spot is. So I'm launching a live podcast called The Unstuck Business Live. So I'm going to be doing it on StreamYard like you're doing, and putting it on multiple platforms. That's going to be on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Twitter, even though it's called X now. I hate the name X. It's hard to say. What do you say for tweets now? Do you say X's? I'm sending X's. It's weird. And YouTube, right? So it's going to be a platform to highlight people's businesses, to help people get unstuck in their business, and also to bring more health and wellness into the business space. So people don't, because as entrepreneurs, you get stressed, overworked. We slack on our own personal health and wellness. At least I have. So I'm making sure that's a part of it too. But I'm launching this at the end of the month, and I'd love for you to be on there, Rachel, just to help people grow in their businesses and help people to find the right businesses for them that are going to help them grow. But that's going to be launching at the end of the month. And podcasting for 2024 is my main focus is growing my platform, because I love doing this. It's so much fun.
That's awesome. Well, that's exciting. Congratulations. I'm excited to hear it, be a part of it. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Rob. You have been absolutely amazing. You've given us so much to just write down, think about, and just even ponder on. And I want to go back to your build the dream. What was it about the wall and the dream?
Oh, right. You're either a dream builder or a wall builder. Yes.
Yes.
Find yourself sitting on a chair yelling at the wall. You're not building your dreams anymore. You're just yelling at a wall.
Yes. Yes. So time to break down that wall and get moving and get into action. We can wallow for a minute, right? It's okay to sit for a day or, half an hour, whatever, no longer than like a day or so, because then you're no good for you or anybody else around you. Right.
Yeah,
so just get up and get moving, break through that wall. And, like I always tell people this, like, I'm a coach, you're a coach, like every coach needs a coach. Right. Mm-hmm. And so like, I know I have friends that are coaches, like we trade services sometimes, and it's awesome. I love it. I love being in the space of so many coaches, and because we all offer something different. We all have different techniques, and we all offer just different perspective, and we all just can see things differently, and that we can't see ourselves. And so all coaches need a coach, and I value you so much. I appreciate you. I am excited to see what happens for the rest of the year as well as into 2024. So
thank you, Rachel. And I love your energy. You're awesome at what you do. It's really fun to talk to you. I see you on social media all the time doing amazing things. So I love it. We have such a cool community of entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, podcast hosts. It's really, really inspiring, and it's like healthy competition. So I love seeing what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to speak to that real quick, because like, like a competition, right? Like we used to be in competition with one another, but I have shifted my perspective for a while now of like, how can we collaborate? Because everybody always wants to, be better than this person, be better than that person. There's always a competition. But when we come together, oh my goodness, when we can all come together and collaborate, and we all bring something different to the table, and we can help like innovate and just like create, and oh my gosh, like it's like, oh, I didn't think about that, and so you might take something that I say or somebody says and implement it, and you're you, right? Like I'm me, you're you, and we don't have to be in competition with anybody, because we all have our own, that's, how to make a mark in the world, find your signature. That's where it all came about, is like our own gifts, talents, uniqueness, life experiences, and how are we using those things to make a mark? We can align, we can connect, but we're never exactly the same. Yeah. And so I love collaborating, and let's collaborate together as a unit, rather than as a, whatever, know.
I know. Why not connect and collaborate instead of like, try to shut each other down, beat each other up, and defeat each other, right? Everybody grows when everybody comes together. Yeah. And there's so much abundance in the world, especially with the modern age of the internet, that I love this idea, because you're exactly right. You could be saying the same exact thing as somebody else, because there's nothing new under the sun, right? So you could be saying the same thing as me, but somebody's going to gravitate towards you because they connect with you and your personality, and somebody's going to connect with me because they connect with me in the way that I present it, my personality. There's enough for everyone, more than enough for everyone. And that was always true, but I think before the age of the internet, especially modern internet, that did not seem to be the case, because you were limited by boundaries and barriers and the area you lived in and how far you could reach people. But now it's blown wide open. There's enough for everybody. So yeah, it's an amazing time to be alive.
Yeah, it's that abundant mindset, right? The
Yeah,
abundant mindset, the growth mindset instead of the fixed and scarcity mindset. So it's a mindset. It's a mindset thing. So, but awesome, Rob. Well, I appreciate you for taking your time. It's been amazing. And I know whoever hears this podcast is going to be blessed. And I look forward to having you on again in the future.
I look forward to having you on also.
Absolutely. All right.
Cool.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.
This is your host, Rachel Bess, and I hope you loved the show. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as well as share with a friend. If you would like, you can follow me on Instagram as well as Facebook under Rachel Best. You can also find me on my website at rachelbestspeaks.com.